I'm Blaise Vanitvelt from Flint, Michigan, and I'm a senior.
Walk us through your journey to get here. I know, if I read correctly, you kind of were looking at coming to Eastern initially out of high school, and then some things changed, and now you find yourself back here as a senior.
Yep, so I came in as a freshman, and I redshirted, and then Coach Cunningham wanted me to go to play for my community college for a year, and I decided to move down to Florida instead. And then after the 2 years, I came back to just to see the guys again, and then Coach ended up re-offering me. And that was 2 years ago, so we're back.
How'd you get started in golf? What was kind of the moment early on in your childhood that you were like, okay, we're going to play this game?
So my younger brother was very good when he was younger, like right around 8 years old. He started playing competitive, and he was getting like a lot of attention. And I would always play with him, but I was pretty bad. And then as I grew up through like 5th grade, 6th grade, 7th grade, I started playing tournaments, and I was never that good. And then once I became a freshman, I really busted out on the scene and started putting up really good scores. Then moved to a golf academy, and then we decided okay, let's keep going. And now 5 years later, about to graduate and hopefully turn pro.
Was there a moment that you realized, I'm pretty good at this game?
Yeah, my first big event ever, the AJGA, I was a freshman in high school. I shot 72, 67, 68, and lost in a playoff to an All-American, Norman Young. And I was like, you know what, it's pretty good golf. So I was pretty happy with that.
How different is some of those AJGA tours and all those tournaments like that? How do they best prepare you for college golf?
A lot. Because you're playing against AJGA is the top tour you can play on. So you're playing against some of the best kids in the world. I mean, I've played with AJGA, who just won on the Corn Ferry. I played with the kids that have committed to Auburn, Alabama, Texas A&M. And it's just there's no hiding when you're playing on those tours. Every course is great. All the players are great. So if you put up a good number, then it really goes a long way.
Golf is a humbling sport where you can hit a great shot, and then all of a sudden your very next one isn't very good. How do you handle the mental game of balancing those good moments against those bad moments?
For me, it's kind of just not caring as much. When I was in high school, I thought every shot was make or break, and I kind of get myself worked up. And it's you hit a good shot, you hit a bad shot. Everyone happens to everybody, and it's you can either let it affect you negatively or positively. And I just choose to kind of ignore it like it didn't happen.
What's your proudest moment on the golf course?
Oh, my proudest moment. Probably this summer I was playing a PGA Tour pre-qualifier, and my dad was caddy for me, and my dad didn't caddy for me maybe 4 years. So he's watched me, he's never caddied. So we were we had our game plan, and we just kind of lit it up, and we played really good. And it was cool to have a big moment to get into another qualifier for the PGA Tour with my dad on the bag. And that was a cool little bonding experience for us. So that was recently, that was the best.
Golf seems to run a bit in your family. You talked about your dad, you said your brother and sister down south. How much has golf impacted your family?
Oh man, tremendously. I mean, from my brother, 10 years old, he was flying to Europe, all across America playing. And then I started picking up, and I played in Mexico, Canada, all around the US, Cali. And we actually just took our first family vacation in probably, 10 years, because I travel so much and he would travel so much that we never really had a good time where we'd all be together, and it would be make sense for us to go somewhere. So we went to Cali. I did have a tournament that I played in Cali, but we all got to go. And that was the first time my sisters ever seen me golf, which is insane. And it's the first time my mom's seen me golf in probably 4 years. So, I never played locally, so it's changed everything for sure.
Is there a course that you've played that you're this is a really great experience and I never thought I'd be here?
Yeah, so when I was at my academy, I lived with 3 Mexicans, and there's this Mexican Junior National, which is the biggest event in Mexico, and they were all going. They're you should try to sign up. So I sent the email, and they let me in, and it was in Mayacopa, Cancun, which is a PGA Tour course. So I was 16, I was the oldest, so 4 of us flew down there to Cancun for a week and a half. My parents came for the last 4 days, I think, and it was really cool. I never thought like that would take me that far, and it was I made the cut, which is cool. So I was the only one that made the cut, so I was pretty happy.
When you watch the tour, is there a person that you watch and are like, they're kind of your favorite, and or is there a person that you try to emulate as well?
I really like Kevin Kisner. He's definitely my favorite. He's just like a very cool guy. He does like a lot of barstool stuff, and he's very like not so serious. Like I said, I don't like being so serious with the game. He's just very cool and mellow, and like doesn't take himself as like a hot shot type of guy. He just plays. Like, he always says it's not just a hobby, but he also says if he could like ride in a cart, he would win every week and stuff like that. I try to emulate more like Dustin Johnson, just because like we're both kind of tall and skinny guys and hit the ball far. So like the closest person in my game would probably be Dustin. I try my best. He's pretty good, but I try.
He's pretty good. Mm-hmm. If you could have your choice of any of the 4 majors right now that you could put yourself into, mm-hmm. which one would it be and why?
Oh, I'm sure everyone said the Masters. I would probably want to win the U.S. Open, just because it's like the United States are open, and it's always that really. I mean, Augusta's obviously a really cool course, but I think the U.S. Open is like the whole environment is really cool. And it's like a little more rowdy than the Masters, so I think that one.
When you look at events like that, sometimes the PGA could get a little more rowdy. Mm-hmm. You look at like the Ryder Cup environment. Yeah. Sometimes people don't like that because it's the pumping up, the rowdy atmosphere. How do you think that golf should be sometimes?
I think it should be rowdy. It's just like, especially like after COVID, I think a lot of younger people picked up golf, and like the fact of having it more like there's like the Waste Management, which is like a little more like party scene-ish, and like making golf not so old to people, I think really helps. And it's like, it's fun for me. If I could be in an atmosphere like that, I would much prefer that than like people being quiet the whole time and just like applauding. Like, it's cool like to have that momentum to build off the crowd and all that stuff. So as long as it can get, I think it would be better.
So you're saying Barstool should sponsor an event?
Barstool should sponsor an event. Well, they do some stuff. They do, Dave Portnoy always plays, before the U.S. Open, he'll play the course like in a scramble. Mm-hmm. And I know when it was at Bethpage, I think he played it, and they would put him as like the leader because he'd play as many shots as he wanted. He came in at like 2 under. So like the leaderboard had like Brooks, Dustin, and then had Portnoy at the top. But it's just kind of good. It brings a lot of different people in, especially with Barstool's podcast too.
You look at the season that's quickly approaching. How have you gotten yourself ready? I mean, you've got a lot of things to your advantage. You've got the simulator, you've got the bubble, you could go to miles, but how do you best prepare for the season?
I think it's just like when we do, because we can't really see the ball in the air unless we go down to Florida. So just like making sure that mechanically we're pretty sound and like things are feeling good. And then like leading up to Dade City, just like being comfortable and being confident. Like we always do a lot of like 1v1 like wedge practice against each other at the bubble, which helps because it's like it puts you in like a semi-pressure of like situation, and just kind of makes you hit different shots. And like you don't want to be going into an event thinking about like, okay, got to hold off the finish or anything like that. So just getting ready to not think as much.
This will be your first event as an Eagle. It'll also be the first time that you're out in the spring, but it's match play. How much different is match play to you versus the usual tournaments?
It's a lot different for me. Like I said, I hit the ball far, so like you can build like a big momentum by hitting a big drive or intimidating somebody like that. I've played a few match play events. You typically do pretty good because, you know, hitting it far, you can hit a pretty bad shot offline. So you're not so worried about like, okay, keep this OB or whatever. Like if you can pull off these big shots, it really can like give you like, you just need to win a few holes. So like any advantage you can get really helps. And sometimes in tournaments I get worried, like I don't want to make a triple because there's 3 strokes you lose off nothing. But match play kind of like lets me open up and be a little more aggressive how I like to play.
When you weigh that risk-reward benefit, how do you in your mind say, okay, I can go here a little bit more than I would at a normal event?
It's just like, I mean, usually for me, the big risk is like a narrow tee shot or going for a par 5 and 2. And honestly, even in tournaments, I mostly take the risky route just because like in my mind, it makes the most sense because I need like easy birdies. But I mean, I really don't want to change my game plan that much. Just hopefully coach lets me open up a little more than I think he wants me to.
Speaking of coach, everybody's got good memories of Bruce. He's quite the guy that can either pick you up when you're down or tell you a joke or something. What's Coach Cunningham meant to you?
A lot. I mean, he gave me a second chance. I actually didn't think he was going to re-offer me. I didn't come here expecting to be re-offered, and he just pulled me aside. He's like, "How would you like to come back?" And I'm like, I love our team here. We have such a great relationship. And I was like, yeah, I would love to come back. Give me a second chance. And I feel like I kind of proved myself that it was the right choice for him. And there's like a lot of times where he kind of knows, like he helps me with my swing a lot, but he also knows that I don't like, not that I don't like advice, I don't like big advice for my swing because it gets in my head a little bit. He just kind of like simplifies a lot of things. He always just like, there's like little swings that just tighten up and everything. And he doesn't like put me in the wrong direction. So he's pretty good. He's a great guy.
A lot of upperclassmen on this team. You've got the 4 seniors, and you guys have to provide leadership. How do you go about being a leader, and how is your leadership style maybe different than others?
At least for me, I'm semi like a senior. I mean, I came in with Ty, Coog, and Zach, but I was gone for 2.5 years. So I kind of let them be more the leaders of seniority, but a lot of times, like Max Watson talks to me a lot, and it's just like, we all have different looks at golf and how we play. And I always tell Max, I'm like, just be an athlete when you play, because he is an athlete. I'm like, don't worry so much about your mechanics. Don't worry so much about the moment. Just like be an athlete and find a way to like get things done and like trust yourself. And when we were in Florida in qualifying, me and him were both playing pretty good. I think I was like 3 under and he was 2 under. And he's like, man, we're playing pretty good. I'm like, well, that's what we're supposed to do. I'm like, you got to trust yourself, because I feel like when you're hitting indoors so much, you're like, you can always hit good shots indoors. I'm like, you just got to trust yourself. And that's why I kept telling him, like, just trust your game and it'll work out.
When you look at the league, everybody always sets their eyes on Kent State. That's the team you want to beat. Eastern and Kent have had a long rivalry together, and they've shared most of the championships for the past 20 years. But what is it going to take for this team to get back on top?
I think we're a very, very solid team right now. We're very like Coach said when we got in, he goes, everyone is great players here and it's going to be really tight for everything. And I think that with the way the 2019 MAC championship went and then the next following year, I think there's a little a little
kind of unfinished business.
Unfinished business. And I think that we all know it's like our final years, and like basically once we're gone, it's like almost a brand new team. I mean, we've been here forever. And I think that we just have like a kind of can-do mentality, and like that this could be a really big year for us. And I'm on the team now, so maybe I can change some things.
If you could give yourself a piece of advice now, looking back at yourself when you entered college, what would that piece of advice be?
Oh, don't take things for granted, for sure. And like this is like your one time to be in college and play college golf, and like make the most out of it and really put the work in.
Eastern on the professional level, that's where everybody wants to go. And you guys, Ty, Cougar, Zach, and yourself are all really in line. You've seen a guy like Brett White do it. He's starting to make waves on the professional tour. What's that next leap like?
Exciting. I've been talking to like a couple of my buddies down in Florida, like telling them like I'm getting ready to move down, and like all these things that I've been like working towards, and it's like starting to like become a reality of like becoming a pro. And I'm like, I'm so ready, especially with it being cold. I'm like, I'm ready to get out, turn pro, and be in the warm. But it's just something that, like, as a kid, I never really was like, yeah, I'm going to turn pro. But then once I started, like, becoming a real developed golfer, I was like, this is definitely a reality. I'm excited.
When you're not golfing, what are we going to find you doing? What's Blaise doing outside that you like to do to relax?
I mean, watch sports. I mean, in the past like few years, I've really gotten into just like college sports and pro sports. I mean, I always was into it, but I only watched the Lions or the Pistons, not that great. So I'm really into hockey now because I live with 4 Canadians. It's kind of all that's on. Other than that, I mean, I kind of just like relaxed. I've been working out a lot, so that's like I golf and I work out now. But I don't really do too much, except for in the summertime. But right now, there's nothing to do.
Cam said yesterday that there's been a lot of cooking going on at the house lately.
Yeah.
How good of a cook is he?
Cam?
Yeah.
I don't know. I've never even tried his food. I mean, he always just has rice. He has his rice cooker and like some protein. So it's not that much. Ty usually, at least when we first came in after COVID, he was cooking like every day. Ty's the main cook, but the effort in meals has been going down every semester. Now it's like mac and cheese or hot dogs. So not the best.